fire, shot fire. Hey, hey. Hello, podcast land. You guys know us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We already laughing. We already getting the party started. You know, it's a forever thing. Yes. It's gonna be forever a battle in the world and in this group. In, don't get me all excited. But yeah, so y'all, I'll just skip to the end of that little few that we normally have. But we welcome y'all back to see all of y'all. So go ahead and share, subscribe, ladies. To the point where they're kind of enjoying themselves, family, or seeing where they're going to be getting some enjoyment going out. This is going to be our last podcast of the year, so I'm a little excited because I'd be excited. I'd be excited to see y'all. I'd be excited to talk to y'all. So I'm just excited. So welcome all you people that are here, that are listening. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like and do all that other great stuff. Okay, and so now we're going to go right into CC with the T. Hey guys, what's up? Man, I have missed y'all. It's been so long since we all just sat around this little table and had our some conversations. But I missed y'all. I know the holidays kind of kick in, so this is our break time. But you know, we just want to keep everyone lifted up in this season who are grieving, who may have lost people this year, and just just love on one another. Not much with CC with the T, but happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to you guys. Our next podcast will be January 11th, so make sure you tune in and keep in touch because we'll be some new things are coming. Yeah. That's all with CC with the T for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. We are celebrating today. We ready for that holiday season, I tell you. Thank you, Cece, for just sharing that with this holiday season, because people are going through with the things going on in the world right now. People are losing things, their homes, their things like that. So I'm glad you brought that out. Just know that our thoughts and prayers, our friendship journeys are with each and every one of you and with your family members as they are going through it. And let them know, do something different. Tell your people you love them. I'm telling you that love word goes a long way. I cannot believe, y'all, that we didn't made it this long. Our friendship journey, as far as the podcast, as far as the business, of course, our friendship is still here, but our business, I can't believe God picked us and that we have stepped out on faith. I'm talking about this. Our friendship journey was not just like a thing. But we stepped out on faith and just listened and obeyed the word of God and his voice. And so thank y'all for believing that was nothing but the Lord, and y'all hearing the vision and receiving the vision and going forth with the vision. But on today, we're going to continue our quotes. And so I love our quotes. I think this year, as we look back and go back over all our quotes that we chose for our individual selves, and I think it just opened up our eyes to hopefully the world and to each other of just who we are. This entire year, this entire season, or two, I would say, has all been about people getting to know who we are. Mm-hmm. So it's been mainly focused on our voice. And so we have two of our members left. Today is all about KC. So let me read her quote to y'all before she go ahead, and I'm going to let her dive in and just share why she chose it and just however she moves and flows with this. But her quote was, "Friendship isn't about who you've known the longest. It's about who walked into your life, said, 'I'm here for you,' and proved it." And that's by an unknown artist or writer. So go ahead, Casey. What made you pick this quote? Why did it resonate with you? Talk to the people.
I'd say the first thing that came to mind was probably Pretty Ricky. Age ain't nothing but a number. And I think a lot of times we focus on time in the sense of how long you know someone, and we really don't focus on the impact or the value that they bring. So it's always an emphasis around time. And so for me, I try to look at things more objectively. And so I look at it based on impact. Um, how do you impact other people, first of all, because that's going to determine if I'm even intrigued or interested in getting to know you. And then secondly, I want to know what you value. I think a lot of times people tell us things and it sounds good, and for a long time they can kind of keep up with the actions of what they're saying. But if you get to who they are and the character and their integrity, it tells you more than they actually could ever tell you in words. And so I believe that the season that I'm in right now is God really challenging me to look at people's integrity. I think a lot of times I focus on how you treat me. I don't really think about or um, judge people based on how you treat other people. Because I think every relationship's different and you vibe with people different. So different people get different parts of you. So I typically focus on what I receive and what I give out. Where God's challenging me now is in saying, um, even coming together in friendship journey, you need to be open, but at the same token, you need to be selective because access is going to be key moving forward. And there are certain people that you have deemed accessible to you that I need to lock that up. And where he's challenging me right now is to be more inclined to his word and what he says versus the actions that I'm seeing. So for me, it's not a matter of time and how long I've known you. It's about what did you do once we met each other? How are you impacting me? How do you impact my family? And how do you carry yourself when nobody's watching? And those are the important parts I feel like God's challenging.
That's good. That is real good. And one, we need to bring out the nobody sent out the memo. She gonna leave it on CC. Let me say no more. You know she gonna ring the bell. Some major words you oh Lord. Please don't let the head and everything come up. Right, please don't let the head come up. Our podcast man not ready for all this to be on the table. Some big words you said there. One word that I heard that integrity. That's a big word right there because how do you act when no one's looking?
Let me just like this.
Woo.
It's been my experience and observation. 2021, people are walking around with masks on, and we're not talking about these COVID ones. But what I'm saying is, people are presenting themselves a certain way. And I believe the challenge for all of us is to start getting to the heart of a person and their motives. We talked about motives and intentions before, but I believe that that's the challenge. And that to me is how you get to the integrity. What is in your heart and how does it come across? People can be rough around the edges, they can say stuff the wrong way, but what is the intent behind it? That's why I feel like we have to get to that place of watching that because people are saying stuff and they showing up and it's like, oh yeah, man, that sounds great. Hold on, that ain't who you are. And sometimes it takes a while, time wise, to see it. It might take years to see who that person really is, but guess what? They are going to show up. And when they do, don't take it for granted. Pay attention.
Pay attention. Watch. Probably look for the signs. Watch the signs. Don't be caught up, like you said, in what you say, what people say, but they're really their actions. And it's just like when when people say like love is an action word, people are going to show who they really are. And sometimes it does take time.
Yeah.
But your quote, and it's funny because Bishop said this Sunday, like don't be looking at scriptures thinking about somebody else. Look at it for yourself. And so I just thought about that now, but when I read this quote, friendship isn't about who you've known the longest. And y'all know on this thing, my sister always talking about her how long she been having friends. 30 years. Real. No, but I thought about her and her friendships. And me and her were just talking about it as well. But she has just some newer friends that are really, really close to her that I know. And so you're the one that I thought about. So go ahead and just share that because you 30 plus in with your friends, but then you do have some people that have come in and said, I'm here.
And so the first thing that I think about is my one friend, Angie, who we met in 11th grade. So it's 30 plus time. But over the years, we have had battles, arguments, but we've always been there for each other. I had to live with her for a season. Just the whole thing, and even live with her, like we've had knockout dragouts, but she's always shown up to be my friend. But she would always tell me, "Sister, that's your friend." And I'll be like, huh? And she'd be like, that ain't your friend. That ain't your friend. Don't be talking about these new people's your friend. You know? And so when I think about that, she was right about a lot of people in that transition, because for her, it was something that meant a lot. If your friendship goes beyond surface. It really, really, it goes beyond a surface level. And you have to get to the heart and the meat. Like, even though her and I have had knockout dragouts, that's my sister. You know what I'm saying? And it don't matter. Like, we argue, like Bill said one time, like, sisters and brothers argue. Like, that's what happens. But it's okay. That don't mean you're not my brother and my sister anymore. But sometimes when people show up and show you who you are, and I'm being authentically myself and showing up for people. And then she was able to see that that was not happening. And she would be like, that's not your friend. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm in a different situation. She don't know all of y'all the way that I do. And so she'd be like, you don't know them Texas people? Yes, I do. Because it's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And I can really truly be like, no, 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 these are my people. Because I've had situations, with whatever has happened. We have all been able to, for the most part, show up for each other in some real life situations. You know what I'm saying? Like some real deep stuff, you know, and we've been able to rally around and really be there and really, like Casey, she'll in a minute, if I'm like, I don't understand what's going on with my husband. She's like, well, you got to think about this differently. And I'm like, well, why? And she's like, no, well, this is necessary. You know what I'm saying? And so things like that, where you've shown up and shown and have proven, just trust. And I'm just saying that because her and Keith have just like special bond. I don't know. But
That's just like birthday, right?
Same day.
Two weirdos. Like, love you. Like,
Right. It's something going on that I don't get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to talk, and she's able to give me a different side of it, and genuinely give me a different side, because I know she wants the best for me. So when I think about that quote, it's not, who's known me the longest, because a lot of y'all I've known longer than her. And I'm just using her as an example. Because she's fairly new, like my newest friend that I would consider a friend. Really. But you are my newest person that I would consider a friend that has access to me, that I feel comfortable speaking with and can share my vulnerabilities with, and you accept it 100%. And then going back to another point that you made, since Brandy asked me this. So the second point that you made was, in this season, God is, because sometimes when you were speaking, I heard sometimes people give you their representative. And that's not, they give you what they think they think what I should be in this situation and in this moment.
Yeah.
And they're reluctant to be free in who they are. And so when you said that, God has really been dealing with me in that sense, because I've always hid behind everybody can't handle Michelle.
Mhm.
And so God had to show me, you know, I'm not quite trying to put no plug in there, but I'm just saying. So God has been dealing with me in that season because when you said that, that struck me. And that was the second part of it. So I want to address this and I'm gonna move on. But I always hid behind everybody can't handle me. And so I wasn't open to everybody being able to see the real authentic me. And so God had to deal with me and say, even if they can't handle you, that don't matter because you ain't called to the people.
I'm about to go. When I say I'm about to go,
Well, for real,
we
it was like,
no,
God had to tell me, no, seriously, stop who you are because of people. That don't matter. You're not called to them. You're not called to them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you still be you. Period. Pooh. And I'm just like, okay, all right, that's what's up. But yeah, so that I just wanted to speak because that was the second part that you said.
it actually speaks to the quote.
Yeah.
The way he just said it to me.
Right.
I want to see people that can see you.
Mm.
Those are the people that can see you. So you're not hiding anymore.
Right.
Because he's only going to see people that can see
That can see me.
who you are.
Right.
That's it. Exactly. What when you just said that, what I thought about was confidence. Like when and that's that God, the confidence that you have. Like, right. Because I know who I am in him.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what anyone says, thinks, or whatever.
Mhm.
I know what I'm, you know what I'm saying? I know the God that I serve. You know what I'm saying? So despite how you see things and how you feel, whatever you got to say, it don't matter.
Bobby.
Because I know who I am. Like it don't matter. Like I know what I'm doing and I know what my God says to me. So I know who I am. And I think that people probably would never admit to it, but I think people are intimidated by that. And that's where kind of like jealousy and all those things that women go through come from.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm confident in who I am. I'm confident in my calling. I'm confident in all of those things. And so but I'm just saying, when you it don't matter. It's like, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody really say
Nobody.
and you can say what you want to say, but that's not going to change who I am, what I believe. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. It's not going to change any of those things. And so that's how I've always been. So my sister and my family always say, like, you're so nonchalant and you and all of those things. And but because it's not saying it don't matter, but if I know I'm unbothered, I'm so unbothered. Because let me tell you, it's a few things in my life, and this just God just showed me recently. Like it's a these are the things, and it's I got some tools out here. It's faith, family, and friends. Like it's an order. I know whose I am. I know the direction I'm going. I know what He's telling me. I know that I'm being obedient to Him. So I'm unbothered by a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's a difference. I think women see it differently. I think it's a them thing and not really a you thing. We've been trying to shelter. Yeah, it is. But we've been trying to shelter and you know, what's that? Like rub their back and try to make them coddle them.
Yeah, coddle them, make them comfortable.
And so I don't know if it's the age thing because I know at some point I did kind of do that, but why? Like, why? This is who I am. This is Brandy McCrary, the good, the bad, the ugly. You don't want no parts of it, then take it as it is. Take it as it is. I'm still everything God told me I am. So
Just in the
I think that we and as believers, there's a fine line between being confident in who we are and trying to walk that godly walk. Because it's always been about, I don't know about y'all, but growing up in the church, it's always been about how we need to customize who we are to appeal to people to be God. To people to be God. It was always, you don't need to wear your problems on your sleeve. You don't need to air your dirty laundry because you represent Christ first. And so in that mentality, I think along the way, as young believers growing up in the faith, we lost our own identity and who we were because we were raised that you are to model yourself as a godly woman. You are to make sure that you don't come off as offensive. You are to make sure that, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus say? Make sure you're mannerly. Make sure you're this and that. And all those principles that the Bible teaches us. And so in doing that, we have in some ways changed our character based on who we are. Because we try to be so heavily, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with this because, I believe that that's the direction that God is taking me in this season. That, I need to mind my mouth and mind my approach because people are watching. And uh, we are advised to have, a godly demeanor and all of those things because you never know whose life you could have an opportunity to speak a word into or to invest into. And so, but at the same time, as it pertains to friendship, I agree that, when you have a friend, it's, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? The good, the bad, and the ugly. But that's why I believe that God sends specific people
To you.
our way to be so that they can receive our good, our bad, and our ugly. You know what I'm saying? But we can also still invest and sow into each other as well and be a support system for each other. And so I just wanted people to understand that, that yes, there's a fine line between being in Christ and having God confidence, because I think sometimes people misunderstand that principle that, I could just be all rah, 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 and there's no accountability to those, for me, to those who are unbelievers or to those who may, need to see a modest, godly woman, trying to walk the walk. And so I don't think that that's fake. I just think that we all have something that we're working on. We have something that we're dealing with. And so we're trying to abide by the word of God. We're trying
But
to
it's
be
more of, to me, it's more of stop trying to please people and please
people,
God.
right?
If you want to
Yes.
live this godly life, live it for him.
Him, and
Don't
not for
worry
people.
about these people around here.
Right.
Because long as I please him,
Right.
everybody else should be pleased. But
Right.
this is the problem. You're never going to please everybody.
Everybody.
Always going to have something to say.
Exactly.
So that's the hard part. That's the
Exactly.
thing. I think when we missed the mark because we were so trying to put our skirt at a certain length, wear stockings, and
Right.
all of this rituals that God didn't care nothing about.
Right.
So that's why it's like if I know that He's pleased, everybody else got to be pleased.
Right.
And He's gonna let you know. He's gonna let you know when you're off track.
Right.
He's gonna tell you when you're wrong. He's gonna give you signs and all those things. He's gonna let you know. He's gonna nudge you. He definitely speaks to me first.
I shouldn't have said that. But not I shouldn't have said that because of that person, but I shouldn't have said that because God would have wanted me to say that.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like there's a fine line between godliness and God confidence because we still need to be who we are. But our what's the word I'm looking for? Our accountability is unto the Lord.
That's it.
And so if we are customizing ourselves to the word of God and to what He wants from us, then everybody else, we're going to give the same thing to everyone else around because we're customizing ourselves to Him and not to each individual person because the way we come at each other might be different based on our personalities.
Yeah.
But if we are coming at each other based on what God has given us to be or who God has called us to be, then it's going to be received amongst the many, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So while you was talking, I had thinking about Jesus, who is our example. And so he was the Jesus that wept when Lazarus. So he was empathetic and he felt people's feeling amongst the crowds. He was still the same Jesus that flipped over tables.
Mm-hmm.
He was still the same Jesus that humbled himself to the cross. He had legions of angels ready to come and wipe us out. You know what I'm saying? But he still humbled himself. So that was all him, the many facets of him. However, he still called the 12, who had personal access to him. And then within the 12, he had the 3 that had even more intimate access to him. People had access to who he was 100%. Wherever he went, he was still 100% himself.
Right.
But he had the 12 that he personally poured into and personally spoke to. And then he had the 3 inside the 12 that had even greater access. And he was still that same Jesus. Like, y'all can't stay with me for 1 hour.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't pray. You can't stay up. You can't do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So he was still that same person, even though people had different access to him.
And
So
then
that's
those
the thing.
people, his
Yeah.
friends, those group of people had their issues.
Right.
That didn't stop Peter from cursing. Like he
Right.
still was that person. But we looked up to him. We wrote what he said, yes. He
Right.
all of that. But
Right.
Peter was something else. He was a fighter. He didn't stop that. And I look up until they was ready to come and get Jesus.
Right.
He spent all this time with him, and he was still ready to fight. So he never,
Mhm.
that never changed.
He had to tell them to stand down. Like they coming
Yeah.
for, they coming for me.
He
Y'all
had
do
to
what I
get
told
them.
y'all to do.
So it was,
Yeah.
But I wanted to throw that in there because that's what I heard as somebody was speaking. But I wanted to, I can wait to respond to what they said. Oh, well, I like that. I like everything that she said, and what it made me think about was the fact that um that we can't forget as people are evolving, they are constantly changing. And so, people may say, oh, I'm this way. And then, sooner or later, they could be shift in some way. And so that's why, I like that you said it was important for us to get to the heart and the character of who people are, because even as we shift and evolve and grow, because as women, y'all know we change all the time. Our husbands will say, dang, first when I married you, you wanted this, and now you want that. I thought sometimes men think that you're supposed to be the same for the rest of your life, and that's not the case. So we're constantly growing. And so once you have your circle, we have to understand that as people grow and change, it doesn't mean that they aren't who they say that they are. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important for us to kind of, once we get to the heart of who they are, we understand or develop an understanding that they are growing, and we're watching them grow and evolve into, whoever they need to be. And some people grow together and some people don't. But I'm just saying that I like that, the discovery is understanding each person as they are when you meet them. And then who knows, 5 or 10 years later, they've evolved into this other person, and you've had an opportunity to watch that growth, to watch the growth. And, right. And so I think that it's important to, when you identify the character of a person, that you also reference that, okay, because I know for me, I feel like I'm almost a completely different person than I was from January 2021.
Yeah.
And that's because, in a year you can go through so much, and you can have so many humbling experiences that God really shifts your mind, your emotions, all of that into a new direction. And so you don't know if that's a permanent thing or if that's a seasonal thing. But if it is permanent, the people that are closest to you, you can trust.
Yes.
Because you know their integrity, you know who they are, you know their intent. You can
Right,
trust that they don't go on this journey with you as you evolve into whatever direction you're going in.
Yeah.
And so, I think it was profound for her to say that, it doesn't matter the time, it's all about understanding the integrity behind the person and the character of the person, so that as they grow, you can't say, oh, well, now she done told me she don't eat cheese, but now she eating cheese. Oh, you fake. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, no, I like cheese now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, cheese now. That's why I use that example, because we know what it is now. Yeah. But I mean, as people are evolving, we have an opportunity to say, oh, I know CC, she must like cheese now. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and not feel some type of way like, well, you lied, because
You ain't like cheese last week.
you ain't like cheese last week. Well, now I'm trying it. Or whatever.
I like cheddar. I like Gouda.
Right.
But don't they say like your taste change every 10 years?
Everything, as God grows us up and matures us, to move closer and closer to Him, we change. Our insights change. Our experiences change. All those things. But that doesn't mean that our integrity should change.
Yes.
We should still be at the core of who we are. Yes. So.
And I think that's the most important part. Your integrity should not change. As I don't care how much you grow, mature, your integrity should be the same. You should still be real to yourself at that point in life. And so that's the part that just stuck out right there. The part of your quote that I hit, because it was in quotations, and it says, I'm here. For somebody to be here and support, and you kind of hit it, Christian, a little bit talking about like when you changed in 2021. But I think about I'm here. We think about how this thing even started, how it evolved, it was during COVID. But we were like concerned about one another, where we wanted people to check in. And it was like, I'm here for you. Whatever, whatever you got going on, I'm here. So that I'm here stuck out to me just as our friendship journey, because I remember when it first started, some people were sick, some people were like traveling, and somebody's family was hurt. And so we got together and we got this text group together. Prisha text this group out, and we just talked all the time, because one, we were concerned. We wanted to make sure that you shared information. People were sharing news, people were sharing all these things, but it was all of us letting us know that, hey, I'm here. Whatever was the prayer you needed, whatever you needed us to pray with, and you needed some food or you needed some toilet paper, it was like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And so the whole start of this, I think our friendship journey was a part showing that I'm here. We were here for one another at a time where it was needed, at a time where all around us, all we saw was, we was lonely. We was in the house with just whoever was in the house with us, our kids, our family, our spouses, or whatever it was. And it was a time where it was like, hey, I'm here. Like, it was almost an outlet. And so I'm thankful for the season that we went through together. I'm thankful for that time that we were able to come together. I'm talking about, we did some laughing, we did some praying, we did a lot of things just during that time, during the time where people were really feeling isolated and alone. And we were able to do something different that most people did not get the chance to do. Most people were like I could say, isolated. And so I'm so thankful that appreciate that, because it started with you, that you started that group, just like, because you probably was texting 3 or 4 people differently, because I think you had like a couple different groups.
I did.
And then finally you said, forget this, delete this group, y'all. And so I'm thankful that you listened to the voice of God, and that we were able to come together, and that it's still going strong. We still, you know what I'm saying, have our Bible apps and things like that we're studying together. And so some of us been on each other 10 years, 1 year, whatever. It's a variety of a length of time that we've known each other, but we've all had an opportunity when we said, I'm here. And so just thankful for that. Yeah, what you got to say?
So I was thinking, I didn't think about it with the quote, but I play on words. And so when it says I'm here, I think about me. One of the things I feel like I bring to my friendships is the ability to be present. So if you're with me and we're together, I'm not on my phone, I'm not distracted, because I want to be present in that moment. And so that, to me, when it says I show up and I say I'm here, that means I'm present. Whatever you need, I'm going to be present for it. But I didn't think about it in the quote, but till just now.
All right, Brian, you've been real quiet, like
Silence.
and so come on, when you hear that quote, hear all the stuff we talking back and forth, our opinions and what we think and how we feel, and even reference Jesus in there. We had him out there too talking. How you feel about that? Jesus, shout out Jesus.
I really have nothing to say. I think it's, you guys have said it all.
You said it all.
I have nothing to say.
I'm going to receive that.
What? Nothing in a good way. I'm just saying, like, I think you ladies have covered it.
You think we can drop the mic?
I feel like we're supposed to end it with the
bell? Well, hold on. Now, CC gonna say she ain't got nothing to say.
Right.
You got something to say?
Oh, I mean, pertaining to your quote, when Brandy read it, the first thing that came to my mind was loyalty.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. And so it's, yeah, that's necessary when you're in any relationship, is loyalty. And then when Christian was talking about changing in seasons, I thought about growth requires maturity. And so even though you're growing, some people they may not be ready for that mature part. So they run, which leaves them at the hindering state. And so I'm just still processing. Yeah, I like that you said that, because that reminds me of, like, you ever hear a word, like you're in church and you hear a word, and that word resonates with you so much that you start to really make a conscious effort to apply that word to your life. And so you're making this effort to do that. And mind you, you're not perfect. So you'll fall short because it's a new habit that you're trying to create. Right. And then you get around somebody who heard the same word that you heard. And because you're trying to apply that word, they hate it. It's like, oh, that ain't you. What? What do you mean? Like, I heard the same word that you heard. And because that resonated with me, and that was an area that I need to make some improvements on, you gonna hate on me. It's almost like when a pastor would say, well, we need to stop being this type of saint, right? So now you're trying to make improvements, but then I ain't gonna say pastor, but somebody in leadership see you trying to make them improvements and be like, you being real fake right now. It's like, first of all, don't be up in my business. Number
Right.
one, worry about what you and God got working. But that's what I'm saying, like what she's saying is that growth is about maturity. And so everybody is not going to be able to receive your growth, is what I'm saying.
It may not be your time.
And it may not be your time.
I can get a word today. It may not apply for 10 years.
Right.
Just depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
But it's not about hating on people if they try to apply theirs right away. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta meet people
Where
where
they
they
are.
are. And I feel like
Yes.
that's the key to friendship is you have to meet people where they are, but I think people have to be honest and you have to have honest conversations. I believe that. You said a word and it's a word loyalty. We talked about it. What does that mean and how do you measure? That's just screaming
Loyalty. When you think about the word loyalty, what does that mean to you? You show up. Okay. Like your quote, it says not what did it say? It's not about how long we've known each other, but
it's about who walked into your life, said, I'm here for you, and proved it. They prove it.
Right. So I don't have to know you for 10 years to say you're loyal to me. I got family and they not loyal. You hear me?
Come on now.
So for me, it's you. I know that I can depend on you. I can call on you at any time or day. I know that you feel my spirit, I feel yours. And so it's not about duration, but donation.
But at what point does loyalty run out? And now you have to measure based on the act already. So let's say somebody showed up and now they're not showing up no more. At what point do they go into not being loyal? Yeah, I guess that's my question.
I would say if a person has integrity, true integrity, then they'll always be loyal.
Got it.
Loyalty has no expiration date. A person who is integral will always won't hesitate to say, you know what, you were wrong for calling that lady what you called her yesterday. Or if someone comes and says, well, what do you think about blah, 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 blah? Loyalty is being able to say, I disagree. That wasn't right. No, even if that person gets mad, loyalty is being able to tell someone the honest truth. And whether they receive it at that moment or not, you still have to say, hey, that wasn't right. And I know you might not talk to me for 8 days.
So
that was
accountability.
Yeah. So it's loyalty, what is integrity, loyalty, accountability, they all run the same.
Loyalty, and what was the other word? And accountability.
Loyalty, integrity.
I think that can mean different things for different people. I think it depends on the group of people and what they classify as what loyalty is. Because what I think loyalty might be, it could be different for someone else. So I would need to understand what your definition or whoever's definition of loyalty is so that I can not try to measure up, but try to
Make sure you're clear.
yeah, make sure that I'm clear. Like, okay, based on what I can do as being a loyal friend, I understand what you need from me. You know what I'm saying? Based on what I'm willing to give. And I say that because for some people, loyalty can mean that every time I need you, you show up. Well, every time you need me, I may not be able to show up. I probably can't meet that expectation. I can say that, there will be a lot of times that I will try to show up, but I may fall short sometimes, and I need you to be okay with that. Doesn't mean that I am any less loyal. It just means that I can't measure up to that expectation. And so I think just kind of getting an understanding as to, and I think that we did in so many ways, it's been unspoken. Like I think we've all, for the most part, have had a clear understanding just in our conversations as to what loyalty kind of looks like for us. And so we've been able to, in some ways meet those expectations that we have. Like we always said, just being here for me, if I call you and I need prayer, just different things like that, as opposed to someone that I may call and be like, girl, I can't talk right now. I'm sorry you want to, but I gotta go. And if that's the case, that's fine. But now I know I'm probably not gonna call you when I need prayer because you ain't never praying. You can't come through.
Yeah.
So I just think that it just depends on. I think that needs to be established in the group what that loyalty looks like.
Loyalty. It's Vern said some words. I know Cece gonna read that definition in just a minute, but I got someone who said loyalty is just saying what you're gonna do and just doing it. So that means if I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna tell you, hey, I'm gonna be there. If I can't, hey, girl, I ain't gonna be there. That's how I feel. Like it doesn't negate because you couldn't come that one time. As long as you told me, like, oh yeah, I ain't gonna make it. That's okay, cool. I don't want to be expecting you. And then it's like, dang, where's such and such at? She said she was coming, or she didn't say she wasn't coming. I just feel like it's a level. Brian, you talking about you had nothing to say. I'm so glad you finally spoke because you said something. I'm doing like 2 or 3 things, but you was like, loyalty is like almost like part of your character. That should never change. I love that. Loyalty should never change, no matter what the situation is, who comes in and comes out, no matter if it's a disagreement, you should still be loyal. And so that was just deep because it's a part of who you are. It should be a part of your makeup. If I have integrity or if I'm loyal, then I'm just loyal, period. I can count on you regardless. No matter what. That's just the way it should be. And so go ahead, Cece, read that definition that you got on there. I thought that was good too.
It says loyalty. What is loyalty? In relationship, loyalty is all about honesty, trust, and commitment. It means sticking through good times and bad times, even when this isn't easy.
Even when it's not easy. Even when there's a disagreement. And I think that's where me and my sister talk about some of our friendships before. And I talk about my friendship all the time. Like, I got these friends. And when I say that these friends I have, even if I've matured or grown and we have kind of, because situation is seasonal, right? Some people are just, you don't talk to them every day, all the time. But let me tell you, because I didn't leave that friendship in any type of disagreement, where there's an argument, where there's a dispute, I haven't lost a friend in that way. I can think of one friend that I lost that way because of that kind of situation. But for the most part, all those friends that I had years and years ago, for this many years, for this in this place, when I was in college, when I was here, we didn't split up because of no malice, or because of no disagreement, or because we couldn't get along. It was just, out of state, out of mind. It was right. But anytime I present myself in a situation where they're anywhere near me, it's just like, almost like old times, and it's no love lost. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you want. I think as a person, as a human being, that's what you want. You want it should be no love lost. It shouldn't be to that extent when you talk about somebody that is a friend. When you talk about somebody who you let in, that could be very hurtful when you lose a friend. Now, like I said, I can think of one that I lost, and it was hurtful. It was hurtful. And for me, it's like, I'm not even an emotional person, but I was hurt on that situation. And so that's how I feel like friendship should be, because it shouldn't be that way. I don't think we should just be dropping them off here and there. It should be a growth of the nation.
No, I believe in the Bible it talks about seasons, and I believe that we, based on how culture has taught us, we just assign people titles. So I believe you meet people, but we just assume they're friends. And so we start labeling them as such, but they were for a season. So they came into your life, but we should not have qualified them in a title. They should have just been someone we knew, we're getting to know, however you look at it from that regard. So a lot of people, when we say, oh, you lost friends, a lot of these people were not friends. You classified them as such, but they were not. And so they were there for that season, for whatever that purpose was. And it's okay for them not to be a part of your life moving forward. So that's my viewpoint. It's gonna be different, but I that's how I look at it. I don't look at me as losing friends.
Well, I wouldn't say I lose it because I don't feel like I lost any of them. Well, one of them I did. They're not like friends anymore. You know what I'm saying? To that extent where they're right there under me. But the other people in my life, I would definitely consider them my friends. We went through seasons where all these things where we were loyal, we were committed, so they were friends. It's just that we're not as close, or you know what I'm saying, that season is past. There's no love lost. There's nothing like that.
Saying that they're a friend of yours. So y'all's relationship dynamic has shifted, but they still your friend. I'm saying defining someone who was a friend who's no longer, but y'all didn't have that experience.
Right. I think they're shifted. So when we talk about like Darius Daniels, how people have shifted where they're not a friend anymore, maybe it's an associate. Now it's things like that. So they moved buckets in my life, but it was never no love life. It's no reason. The reason why maybe some of them are now not in the best friend zone or the friend zone, and they may be in the associate zone because maybe they stay in a whole other state. Maybe because we don't talk to each other every day. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because
I get that. But I think so to that point, I would still consider those people friends. Right? They shifted. Where I'm speaking from is you probably weren't a friend because we didn't have those experiences, but I said you were a friend. And now we probably don't talk anymore, right? But you probably were not my friend.
Okay, so there are some situations like that. Okay, that's what I was
as like I've always thought about them as, you know, you have your outer court, your inner court, your holy of holies, right? So those that are closest to you, that you know their integrity, you know their character, those people are in your holy of holies. No matter what happens, you know, you move away. You know, you're in there's people that kind of go from season to season. Those are those lifetime friends. And you know that they're lifetime. Look at some of those. Then you have right now. Then you have that outer court, who is maybe people that you've met along your journey, who have become really close to you in those seasons of your life. That, you know, if you met up with that person a day, you know, you would still be cool with them because, you know, in that season, that's who they were for you. And then you have your outer court, which is those people that you've met during, you know, along the way. You maybe didn't get as close to them, but you had some type of connection with them, some type of bond that, you know, you can reflect back and say, oh, I remember her, or she was cool. And, you know, we hung out for a season, but maybe you didn't classify them as friends. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that if they moved here to Texas, you could see that maybe in this season of your life, you may, you know, befriend them at some point. And so when I think about that, I think, you know, especially being in the military, and Bird can probably attest to this, you meet people along the way. And some people you just identify with their spirit. Those people are lifetime friends. And then you have your outer core friends who are seasonal. And then, I mean, your inner core who are seasonal, and then your outer core who are just passers-by, so to speak. And so I think, you know, if we look at it like that, then it'll help us identify who are our real friends that we know are like down with like two flat tires type friends, you know, that you know is going to ride or die with you forever and always. So classifying, I think, is important because if not, like you said, you will put people in that friend category and they don't really belong there. They don't belong to you.
And nowadays, friends are so different. Like to have friends, you know, if people on social media, you get so many likes and you comment so many times with friends, right? And so it's a little different now. I think about this conversation we had. What's it? Somewhere. And my sister's like, I got so sad. I guess you and Casey had this conversation about friends. And she's like, well, you know, that 30-year thing, like people just not doing that, right? No more. And so but she was like, I got so sad when she said that. And but then I thought about it and I said, well, Michelle, you know, my age group, we talked on the phone all day, all night. We had party lines on the cell phone. Like we stayed up, we fell asleep on the phone, woke up, still there. Like it was a different type of friendship now. Than back in the day. I'm talking about, so even if we were young, of course we didn't have anything to do. But even the young kids don't do that. They got too much stuff going on with their cell phone or whatever they doing. They're not going to do that. They're going to FaceTime and then that's we done. And so I think it's just a different level. I don't know. Like, I'm almost with Casey. Like, I was almost in agreement with that. I don't know if they gonna ever get to have friends like that. Because I remember, just being with my friend all day, all night. They're not doing that anymore. I'm talking about in the summertime when you were out. We got up, ate breakfast, we was outside all day together. Like, we kicked it all day long. Some of my friends. Yes.
I didn't.
We stayed outside all
That's
day
probably why I'm
long.
a weird friend because like I had friends that I went to school with, but I was so involved in other stuff that I didn't always have time to always hang out with my friends. So I only hung out with them in school, and then I had friends that was in the activities that I was in. So my friendship circles were kind of sporadic, and so I had maybe 1 or 2 friends that I went to school with, but they was like my school friends, but I could still.
And I did that. I had school friends. I had volleyball friends because I played volleyball. None of my volleyball friends was my school friends. Like Shawnee D. Neck, and none of them played volleyball. But then I had volleyball friends that played volleyball. Those were my friends. And I had my neighborhood friends. Like, so I had different. Then I had a boyfriend and he had friends. So I had different groups. But neighborhood friends, them was like, yo, all day. I mean, so it's just a different, I think, level of friendship. Like, we watch videos. I'm talking, we used to be on the phone watching videos together.
So wait, I got a question then. So would you say that your friendship is more so associated with the time spent with those friends along the way growing up, or do you think it's more so associated with those friendships you made based on what people provided to you? So is it about like kind of like what Casey was saying? It's what you give me is the value that I found in those friendships, whether it's seasonal or lifetime, or was it the time spent and the loyalty and all of that?
I think it was the time spent in the loyalty, and it was a connection, because it was like in high school, it was a group of us that hung out, but then it was a smaller group that, okay, we kind of got real close, but then they might have been kind of close with them. So it was like our spirits kind of connected, and then we just became cool. So we had the loyalty, we had each other's back, like ready to fight people, boyfriends, like we did all of that type of thing, with one another. And so I don't know. I think it's a kind of but mostly we had that time together. We had that time spent together where we knew one another.
Right. And see, it's different for me though. It's more about the connection that I've made with people, as opposed to, we could have spent time as kids and stuff like that and had loyal relationships and stuff. But it's the connection made, because I could meet a person and I could have an instant connection with them and say, Dad, that person is supposed to be in my life for this season because they were able to provide me with this right here that contributed to me growing in some way.
Now, see, that's where I'm at now. Like that, now that I'm older, now that I realize it, because it's like I know myself, who I am in God. So God is just showing me, like, hey, this person is for this part. Like I didn't always see it that way. I didn't always see friendship that way. I didn't always see relationships like that. I just didn't.
Compartmentalize it. So for me, it's easy because when I meet you, if I can't put you in a place, then you can't be anywhere because you out of order, right? So that's why I ask kind of point questions like that, because for me, you have to go somewhere. Yeah.
You kind of chuckle. What was that chuckle?
Yeah, not anywhere.
You're not anywhere. Right. Like, I don't know where you go. Like, and so I never done that. Like, I've been looking at that recently. Back in the day, it was either we cool or we not.
But you know what? I've always been like that. But I think God is taking me out of that because I have placed people in those compartments and left them there. And God is like, but what if they can be useful over here? And I'm like, but that's not where I want them. Like, I want them.
That's why the word open
right
comes
here.
up, right? Because you still have to be open to it. But where he's challenged me is I'm moving you before he says so, because of what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you seem good. Like, oh, you straight. So I'll move you before he says so. Right. And then guess what you got to do? You got to move back.
Right.
Okay, right. That's the hard part. Because when you move back, it's like, dang, hey,
right.
Well, my bad. I got too excited.
Right. But see, that's the hard part for me is once you're in that compartment, then you're in that compartment. Like me moving people around is like it's been difficult. So I feel like God is really working on me with that. Like, if you put this person in this category, I'll put them in this category at this season of your life, but maybe they need to be in a different compartment now, and you need to be open to that. And so I, trying to move in that direction. I'm like, but I don't want them there, and it don't feel right, and it's weird to me to engage.
Because
You
that's
gotta
what
really
you used
take
to.
control.
Right. See, I
Try to
don't,
show you
right.
something.
I don't put people in boxes. When people, I mean, and I do accept certain situations, but when people do that and move and act certain ways, and okay, I see how they are, and I'm gonna keep, time to go. I'm gonna continue to be who I am. So if they shift, it's because of them, and if they come back in my mind, it's this God is them, whatever. I'm still going in my mind this way. Like so. Okay, and I deal with this. Okay, you do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to see these boxes that y'all got. I don't have those boxes.
It's not that way. It's for me.
For you, I know, but to me, I'm like
the box is not that. It's like, okay, immediately when you meet somebody, you see their energy. So immediately you like, oh, I can work with this or I can't. What I'm saying is once I identify that, I'm not trying anymore to be like, oh, well, let me see the best in Brandy. Well, let me see what I can squeeze out to see if she can. It's like, no. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not literally going to put you in a box of like, oh, well, these are things that we can't do because you're over here. No, it's just like, okay, I see you where you at.
No, I do put people in the box and say, I'm gonna do this with this person, and I'm not gonna do that. Like the people, that you can call them for prayer. You got friends or associates who you better not pick up because they're not gonna pray for you. They don't even want to hear. You are their Timothy. You are their Timothy. You're supposed to have a Timothy and a Paul, right? So you got a Timothy and you got a Paul. The conversations that you need to have with them. I'm not gonna call somebody else that I know can't talk to me about my dreams. So they're gonna be like, girl, you crazy. So I know I need to call Michelle. I know I need to call Laverne. I know I can call probably any one of y'all, but I'm just saying, I know that there's people in my life that understand me in that aspect. And so that they are boxed into that aspect. Not saying that I can't call Michelle and say, girl, what you cooking for dinner? It's just that I know I can call her about that. So
you
I have
don't call me and ask me.
Exactly. I'm not. You see what I'm saying? So I had Michelle in the. I can call her about my dreams box. I can call her about my visions box. When I know I need some detailed, specific information about something that's on my mind, who am I going to call? Casey. That's what I'm saying. So we all have, in some ways, an understanding of where we may not have
someone's gifts more. I'm thinking that's more like people's gifts and what their talents. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But I know certain things. If I call Casey don't say free, that's not my lane, right? So I can't put Casey in that box. So having those boxes is not necessarily negative.
I think yeah.
No, and I never said it was negative. I think I was trying to figure out the box. Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. Yeah, because I don't.
Because I didn't understand it either.
Like for me,
hers is more detailed.
Right. But like for me, when
But we all do it though.
Right, we all do it. And so like when she said she was gonna do this podcast, the first thing that came to mind, like, wait a minute, this is my hangout crew. Y'all my hangout fans. Like, we don't do this. It won't work. This ain't gonna work for me, B. We don't do this. Like we get together, we hang out, we have a good time. We can call on each other, whatever. That's what we do. Y'all in the hangout.
So God took you out the box because He showed you that it don't matter what this box is. I got a plan for you, and this is what we gonna do. That just let you know that so the boxes are important, but God is saying I'm bigger than any box.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying God is moving me. This experience, God is moving me out of these boxes. So you can't keep people in the box that you think that He's staying forever in.
That's good. That's good. Well, let's see. Hey, good night tonight. I'm talking about it was live. We had so much to say. Let's ring the bell because it's time to go. Our friendship journey on 3. 1, 2, 3. Our friendship journey.
Bye.